How are we doing, everybody? Matt from Hannah Fields, back with a monthly market garden update for the month of June 2025. Wow, that's all I can say. We've had some wonderful growth, but my word, it's been warm. I don't know what it's been like for you guys, but we've had about an inch of rainfall since second week in April, and the temperatures have been anything from sort of 25 up to sort of 35. It's been hot, and that comes with its bonuses, but also comes with its challenges. And we will be talking about that as we go around the growing space. The grass, I've not even been cutting the grass really this year either. I normally cut the grass at least sort of every 5 to 7 days at this time of year, and I've cut it twice. I've cut it twice since October last year. So we're just trying to retain as much moisture in the growing space and the land in general, if I'm honest, until we get some rainfall. So watering's been high on the agenda, and like I say, it comes with trials and tribulations, but it also comes with benefits. Certainly our warm loving plants and all that, if you water your warm loving plants, they'll benefit from all this heat. So we'll have a mosey around the growing space, and I'll show you how we're shaping up this June. So I'm going to start with some wonderful growth in our squash bed. As you can see, it is flying. If you consider what this looked like sort of a month ago when I last did my video, they weren't even trailing yet, and they are absolutely going like the clappers now. They're loving all this sunshine. We're keeping well on top of the watering, as we are with most of the grown space. And yeah, what can I say? It's doing really, really well. It's vibrant, it's green. We've got loads of little tiddly fruits coming on, as you can see. And just a little tip and trick: if you're doing outdoor fruit, always plant flowers with your fruit, because they rely on pollinators. And a great one to grow with sort of squashes, we always grow borage, and there's some nasturtiums knocking around under these leaves as well. They'll bring your pollinators in, and they'll do their thing. They'll move in and out of all the plants and spread that pollen around. So you get them beautiful fruits when you get to harvest time in about September. So yeah, great start to the video. That is doing marvelous. Bed number 2, as we call it. On the most part, it's doing wonderful. I'll start down here though, because I want to show you something which is important. This is our beautiful rainbow chard. It can get stressed in the heat. We've been well watering it, but it doesn't like too much heat, unfortunately, does rainbow chard. And as a result, we have had 1 or 2 bolt, like this one. Most of it's okay. I think we've got 2 out of this whole bed that's done that. So just a little tip and trick, really. I mean, we normally plant this out in the bed, about a month ago to 6 weeks ago, that kind of thing, and it normally does okay. But obviously, because we've had a warm start to the summer, it does happen sometimes. So I just want to give you that, really, just as a bit of encouragement to say, it's probably not your fault if you're having a similar thing. It's just the conditions of of all the warmth that we've been having this year. But on the most part, the chard's doing great. We're harvesting this now, and what I've also started doing is intercropping around the grown space. And here's an example. So we've got gaps in between our chard, so I'm planting spring onions. They're mates. They're not going to sort of interfere with each other. They're not going to take moisture from each other, and it's just a way of getting 2 crops in one space. So just something to bear in mind. If you get little sort of gaps, things like spring onions are a great way to fill them gaps and get more crops. And talking about filling gaps, when I planted all this chard, I didn't have enough to go to the end of the bed. So I had about 1 metre or so spare of soil. I want my soil to work as hard as it can, giving me as much food as possible. So I had some leftover bush beans, some French beans. So I just filled the gap in. No need for empty beds. Always get food in the ground and always have crops ready. And that way, when something like this happens, you can always fill your bed. Down here we have our Nero kale and our beautiful curly kale. This is doing great. We're harvesting this now. It's a very popular crop down here most of the year, all year round pretty much, I would say. So we do grow a lot of it, and yeah, it's doing great. We're harvesting it, and everyone's been enjoying it. So no grumbles on the kale. The beans are in now. In my previous video, I didn't have runner beans in, and as you can see, within a month, you know, they're touching the top, they're giving off lots of flower, and the beans are starting to come, I can see here and there. So yeah, they're a warm loving crop, like I always say. So try and hold off with your beans. I sort of get them out sort of mid-May, second week in May, something like that. And they'll just benefit from all this warmth. And yeah, you just get better results with your crops. I find that anyway. So something to consider. The main bed, lots of changes. Most of this is second crops now, or intercropping. So let's start over here. So our leeks are in now. And in my previous video, this was all potatoes. So the potatoes were harvested about sort of 3 or 4 weeks ago. And no messing, within 24 hours, our leeks went straight in. Now, in terms of sort of sowing dates and times of things like this sort of first and second crop, I get our potatoes in the ground mid-April. They're fleeced for a month until the frost is finished. And roughly on the same day or so, I will sow the leeks, and I'll have them in the greenhouse for a couple of months. So they're sort of growing at the same time, if that makes sense. And by the time these are in the ground, they've had 2 or 3 months of growth, depending on when you plant them, when your spuds are ready. And you're just getting ahead of yourselves. And they are, you know, sort of at that early stage of maturity, and gets them off to a good start. So yeah, leeks are in. Looking forward to them in the autumn. Down here in the centre part of the bed, we had our first crop of cabbages for sort of late spring, early summer. In fact, you can still see 1 or 2 of them left. They were Derby days. They did absolutely amazing, and they tasted great. No qualms on that. But as they started to get harvested, we started interplanting our second batch of cabbages for the year. So in this case, we've gone with red cabbages. They've been in a couple of 3 weeks or so, and it's that constant overlap, no messing, no waiting for beds to be emptied before we're sowing. We're having crops ready, the gaps are there, we've got something to go straight in. So always have them crops ready, like I always say, and you'll just get more food. It's that simple. And then down here, carrots are ready. And my word, are they beautiful, and they've done really, really well. But I'm already thinking ahead. So when our carrots are ready, what I tend to do is I start harvesting bunches to create gaps in the crop bed. And in the gaps, I normally plant a brassica to get that overlap, to speed time up, to take advantage of all the photosynthesis and all this high energy at this time of year. You can do this with any brassica also, really. You know, you could have a kohlrabi, or you could have cabbage or cauliflower, whatever takes your fancy. But while we're still enjoying these beautiful harvests of carrots, my next crop's already chugging away. So by the time all these carrots are sort of done, you know, they would have been in the ground a good sort of 4 to 6 weeks, depending on when we get through all these carrots. So yes, intercropping, I really highly recommend it. Okay, let's take you over to the polytunnels and see how we're shaping up. Lots of warmth in here at the minute. As you can imagine, the polytunnels have been up to 130. So yeah, it's a bit of a sweat box, but you know, that comes with the territory. But my word, everything's doing great. The tomatoes are flying. And yeah, speaking of tomatoes, let me just talk to you about these ones, because a little bit of an interesting story with these. So these are Garden's Delight. We sowed our peppers, and we noticed that one of the tray of the peppers, a big clump of tomatoes appeared. And to cut a long story short, we think that a tomato had fell in the compost. It was a bag of compost from last year, and sat there all winter. And then we gave it the conditions, obviously, when we were getting our seeds on the go, and yeah, it gave us some early tomatoes. So these tomatoes, I would say, they've been sort of growing since February, and the first trusts are starting to fruit up now. So that's great. We've got about sort of 10 of these knocking around, and it just means we've had a nice, cheeky, beautiful gift of early harvest. So thank you, Mother Nature, for that. And in between all the tomatoes on this bed, we've got our pepper plants and basil knocking around with flowers. Always get your flowers, guys, in your polytunnels as well as outdoors. Get them pollinators in your spaces, and get them working. Down here, all tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes again. Various different varieties. We've got Tiger, we've got Beefsteak, we've got Gardener's Delight, Yellow Submarine, and Golden Sunrise. That's kind of the main sort of core of our tomato crops this year, and they're doing great. Absolutely wonderful, no qualms whatsoever. And then down this side of the bed, we've got spring onions that we planted in spring. These are just coming into harvest now, and our cucumbers are in. I had to take one or two of them out, if I'm honest. I wasn't sure if they were spider mited or not, but I quickly got them out, and I've got some neem oil um, just in case I need to use it. Neem oil is a great way of sort of combating early spider mite. We have had it in the polytunnels before, so I'm not too sure at the minute if it's rife in here or not. I don't think it is, but it's always good to have that backup just in case. So if you get some neem oil and dilute that in a little spray gun, and you can keep the humidity by spraying the leaves using that, and also, you know, it helps discourage the spider mites to sort of do their damage, if you will. So yeah, so far so good. And I'll just take you into poly number 2, which is pretty similar, to be fair. Wow, every time I come in here, this makes me smile. The grapevine is absolutely flying. Year on year, we train it to how we want it to grow and where we want it to grow. So this is year 5, I think, now of this when we planted it. And yeah, we're trailing it all the way down to the polytunnel end, and then we're allowing it to go all the way around this side as well. And then what we'll do is when it gets to the end, in fact, it's doing that now. Let me just show you. So this is the end one. So we'll tie that up, and then that will be it for its growth. And then we'll just keep on top of it and train it. So grapes are doing well. Tomato varieties are pretty much the same in here as they are in poly number 1. So yeah, all summer fruits really inside this year. And more fruit down here. We've got runner beans, sorry, not runner beans, French beans down here. They were a little bit anemic, but they're doing well now. There's a heavy clay pocket under this polytunnel. I mean, we do put a lot of topsoil compost in here, but sometimes I find that the water isn't as accessible on this side, and I think that's what happened with these. But you know, they've got lots of nutrients in the soil. It's just a case of making sure we give them enough water so they can access them nutrients, and obviously take the water as well. But they've recovered, if that's the word to use, and yeah, they're just starting to fire off a little bit of bean now. So just something to consider if this happens to you guys in your plots. Just check your water levels and check your sort of clay pockets, that kind of thing. More pepper plants in this corner here. In fact, we're just starting to get a few cheeky little peppers now, so that's nice. So these will all bush out over the next couple of months and fill this area, and give us some nice peppers as we get into the later part of summer. Down the back, a couple of rows of snatch crop of carrots. I'm not using this area this year for anything other than that. And then you probably can't see, but I've direct sowed another sort of overlap of carrots for the autumn time, and they're just starting to come through now. So having that constant overlap of carrots and always thinking ahead in terms of what crops we want to eat later on in the year, and keeping them beds nice and full. Okay, I will take you over to the pond bed, which has probably been not the least performing bed so far, but the ones we seem to be having a few problems with. I want to show you this because I don't want to just show you good stuff. I want to show you some stuff that you guys might be experiencing as well in your growing spaces. So our cauliflowers, with all this heat over the last month, they've been stressed, if I'm honest with you, and some of them are starting to curd too early and sort of open up, so we're not getting full cauliflowers. And it's just a sign of the times where we are with the sort of weather this year, I think. I grow snowball cauliflowers, which is one I grow year on year and never had a problem. I've never really grown them in the summer, but they are an all year round variety. But I just think that the weather is stressed them out, and some of them will curd nicely, but as a rule of thumb, I think most of them are going to be quite small. And let me just see if I can show you one, because I want to, like I say, give you a bit of encouragement that even, you know, experienced growers like myself, I'm 16 years into it, this as a grower now, and I still get issues, I still get problems, and that's part of the game. So I don't know if you can see down there, you know, that's probably the size of a tennis ball, and it's already starting to open up. Like I say, it's part of the job, so don't worry about it too much. As long as you've got another crop ready to go into your space and you can go again. I've already got cauliflowers sown for autumn. They are sort of this size now. So what I might do is just take all these out and start again and just go, yeah, it is what it is. So something to consider. And then down here, you can see these courgette plants not doing too well. But these ones here are doing extremely well, as you can see. They were planted out at the same time. What we've noticed is at that end, there's a high level of clay deposit. Now, I've grown crops in here for 3 years, but I've never grown crops that probably require a different kind of condition to what's in that top area. It's normally things like beetroots, turnips, that kind of thing which can grow in most conditions. So a lesson for me, really, I'm going to be putting in more organic matter into this bed. When these courgettes are done, I'm going to raise the level of the beds themselves. So I'll put, you know, several tons of compost in here, just so that I don't have this problem again. But it's good, just good to show you that, you know, conditions, nature talks to you. It tells you what's right and what's wrong. And these are giving off beautiful fruits now, as you can see. You know, there's one there that's not pollinated, but that's okay. We can take that one off. But yeah, they're coming great now. So I'm really happy. And then what I'm going to do is just take you over to this area before we near enough wrap this video up. Beetroots are doing great, but salads on here have, you know, sort of rose up quicker than normal. So it just goes to show you, you know, you can get all your timings right, you can try and get all your conditions right, but Mother Nature, she's always in charge. So just things to consider, you know, and just try and keep on top of your watering. We're watering rapidly all the time at the minute, but sometimes, you know, with all this sort of heat we're having, you've literally got no control over it. So yeah, just want to show you some good stuff and some bad stuff, if you will. Not necessarily bad stuff, but just stuff that happens when the weather conditions are different. And the fruit bay, it's giving off lots of fruit now. It's doing really, really well. We're really happy with how this bed is performing. Raspberries are ready, and that makes me happy because I love raspberries. So we're going to be harvesting these over the next day or two. Yeah, it's done really well. It's the first proper year this has given us fruits, really. We started building this sort of fruit area, if you will, a couple of years ago, and it's starting to establish itself now and give us plenty of beautiful fruits. So really happy with the fruit bay. And then I'm going to end this video by taking you down to our beetroot bed, which has been wonderful. It's given us many harvests, and it's continuing to do so now. So our main crop of beetroot is done fabulously well. And what I did, I want to give you another sort of example of intersowing or intercropping. About a week after I put the beetroots in, I direct sowed parsnips in between the rows. And as these beetroots are being harvested, it's creating space for as the beetroots are being harvested, sorry, it's creating space for the parsnips to have room and grow and take advantage of all that photosynthesis. So yeah, you can do this with most crops. So if you've got a crop in the ground, in your gap, get something else in and maximize all this energy, like I say, and all this potential of harvests. And thinking ahead again, I've already started planting more beetroot in this same bed. So we had turnips down here, and as soon as the turnips were harvested and finished, I had another couple of trays of beetroot, and I've just put another load of beetroot in. And then I've already started sowing things for sort of autumn time. So when these beetroots are done, I'm going to have a nice gap between the parsnips and the second lot of beetroot, and I'm going to be putting in another crop here. It will probably be something like kohlrabi, or I might even do some more spring onions. We'll see yet. So there's plenty of options, plenty of possibilities. So yeah, we're going to carry on harvesting and carry on pruning and tending to our wonderful crops down here. And yeah, I hope you found this video useful. We are a new channel, so please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment if you feel compelled to do so. And any video ideas that you may have as well, feel free to chuck them at me because I'm always up to do videos. So that's the growing space for June 2025 down here at Hannah Fields. Lots of love. Take care. See you soon.